And that's on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
9 minutes gone past the hour of 5. You're listening to 92.3 Nigeria Info. I am Kala Dakorubas, but this is Hard Facts, and you are welcome if you're just joining us. If you've been with us, yes, it's time for us to take the conversation a notch higher. And talk for development nonetheless. I've got a guest via the phone. I'll introduce him shortly. But first, let me introduce what I want us to talk about. I want us to talk about something. Of course, something. For those of you on Facebook, you probably must have seen the topic. So, I woke up this morning. I was going through the bulletin, the news bulletin, the in-house bulletin, to see if there's anything I could, take from there so you and I can discuss. And then I saw this report. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 16, Bayelsa and River States, Paul Ojeka, says policing in River State is complex due to its metropolitan nature. Now, AIG Ojeka said this while addressing management and officers of the command at the police officer mess in Port Harcourt. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Because of the metropolitan nature of Port Harcourt, crime is sometimes high. There's oil in River State, so we have international communities here. We have people from all over the world coming in to do business. And sometimes we also have people of the underworld and criminals. So policing River State is not easy. I want to thank the Commissioner of Police for his job so far.
So oil. The influx of people into River State. These things are major factors as to the difficult. Of course, these things bring in, the bad boys into town as well. And so it is made it difficult to police River State. However, in his own speech, the Commissioner of Police in River State, Olatunji Disu, spoke on some of the challenges impeding the operations of the command in the fight against crime. Let's take a listen.
The command is faced with a lot of challenges, but not limited to shortage of arms and ammunition, shortage of anti-riot equipment such as smoke cartridges, smoke grenades, ballistic helmets, riot equipment, riot gunners, riot smokes, dearth of armored personnel vehicles, that's the APC, insufficient number of gunboats and marine police equipment, inadequate number of patrol vehicles, shortage of barrack accommodation for officers and men. In view of the above, may I respectfully plead with the Assistant Inspector General of Police to kindly look into some of these challenges facing the command.
Okay, so yesterday was 7th of December 2023, and it made it 3 months since the passing, or should I say since the murder of Bakwang Bashim, who was the DPO in Awode East at the time. I've got via the phone a security expert, Charles Inko-Tariah. Welcome on the show, Charles Inko-Tariah. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
All right. Welcome. So you had the police leadership, first the AIG and then the Commissioner of Police, talking about the difficulty of policing River State, the challenges they face. Let's start with the difficulty. What's your response to that? As a security expert, how difficult is it to police River State?
Oh, well, I think that statement, it's a statement of weakness, in a weak corner, because we are looking at an environment that has been the same. Yes, it's an oil city. The two cities are oil cities. Bayelsa is an oil environment, and Port Harcourt precisely is an oil city. So every nationals are in this city, the Port Harcourt city. But having said that, we have the population of Port Harcourt and the entire landmass of River State. The entire landmass of River State is 11,500 square kilometers. And as police intelligence, they ought to have a proper mapping and demography of the environment and come up with strategy that would have been able to beat this system. However, I know that their handicap, is there. But then, when you look at support services that have been rendered by the River State government in the time past, the number of gunboats, the number of other parts of the country. They will deploy to different areas. Some will be serving some police officers' wives and so on, families, domestic works and so on, outside the state. We had a lot of gunboats that was donated by the previous governor to the commissioner, the police command. But you see piracy attack every day in the waterways, along the waterways. You see piracy attack, killing here and there and so on. The gunboats are not there.
Let's slow the conversation now before we get into donations made by the River State government. Let's stick with the difficulty. When you look at River State, we've got waterways. If you look at Bayelsa is more of water than land, right? So when you look at these things, do they contribute to the difficulty in policing the state? Could it be that many times when these boys commit, they run to the waterways, they run to these places to hide?
Yes, the entire landmass, like I said, 11,500 square kilometers. Statistics says 60% of it is water.
Okay.
And so we have more of water than land. And so these criminals or bandits take monopoly of their indigenous strength of knowing the roots and how to monopolize it, to maximize it to their favor. So they use that route, yes. But I would identify these facts. The security ought to now come up with it. During the time of Buhari, they have this deep blue sea contract that was given to Israeli firm to train security to run the deep blue sea. Now, it is expected that if they had included community or local content in that project, it would have been more grounded to protect the waterways and give support to the security agents, especially the police that have been handicapped because of these waterways and the vast waterways, that is aiding criminality within the area. Because even gun supplies are done through most of them are done through the waterways.
All right.
There are a lot of porous borders through the waterways. So all African gun dealers and so on, a lot supplied through the waterways, So it's a big handicap and a big challenge for the police and the security at large.
So since this is a big challenge for the police, does this also give a real reflection of the current situation of policing in River State? What I mean is, does it mean that the police are not even getting to the boys as we think they are? The bad boys, of course.
It's a very difficult question to answer, because at a point we realized that initially we were feeling that the police have gap. They don't have that access to the bad boys. But from all indication and the recent happenings, we realized that they have been hobnobbing with most of these bad boys, and there are a lot of corruption when it comes to policing in River State. There have been a lot of endemic, massive corruption and criminality among some of the police officers, like it's been manifesting in recent times in your medias and so on. How police officers are kidnapping people, taking to a chase where we know that armed groups and bandits create their victims. How come police is also comfortable within that environment? Means they are nothing. We hear of the police officers that were extorting people at Elm Road, who the police commissioner confirmed that they are from Imo State Police Command, and they were operating there. 3 weeks after their victims reported the case, they made a mass arrest in that place, did profiling, and confirmed that 4 of the men were still there after that period. That means they've been there for a long period of time, working with that police command. The police command cannot claim to be ignorant of that kind of operations within that area. And they arrested them. And to date, we never hear anything in terms of prosecution or arraigning them to court. The police command is another police command that arrested a child trafficker who uses medical facility to traffic children within the territory and so on, and was arrested and paraded by the police command. And just 2 months after, he is still operating his facility. We wonder how he was freed and how that facility was freed, and for him to now kill a 20-year-old girl just to sell a newborn baby. So you can imagine the kind of corruption and the mess in the police sector in River State Police Command, where the police command don't have respect for judiciary. It shows that the police work differently from the judiciary.
You are saying...
So you see a lot of mess. The point we are pointing at is that in River State Police Command, there's massive corruption, massive criminality that is going on. I think they should be declared state of emergency.
I want to ask a question. Are you saying that it is not that the police is overwhelmed by, the amount of bad boys? It is that they are colluding with these bad boys, if I got you correctly.
Yes, to an extent, I want to believe that they are colluding with the bad boys. Some of the police officers, may not be all. Some of the police officers are colluding because it is showing. The police commissioner recently confirmed the arrest of some police officers that kidnapped a boy that was going to work in the hotel and called the hotel manager for ransom.
So
unknowing to them, the DPO was involved and they arrested these people. These are police officers.
Okay.
I told you about the other one that extorted 5.6 million from their victims. Police officers confirmed by the Commissioner of Police. And even the past Commissioner of Police was also indicted in some matters where it was confirmed that he was given 30 million naira from money they raided and so on. So that we not hear nothing about such cases again and so on. So there is a lot of mess in the police hierarchy. From the top listen, to an extent, some of us begin to perceive if the Inspector General of Police is complicit in these happenings, because no matter the cry of the people, there is no form of reforms or realignment or readjustment, by the antecedent and the activities of the police officers in River State Police Command. In as much as I realize, I acknowledge the fact that there are gaps that need to be filled. There are gaps that need to be bridged, which the state government need to come in at this matter to really have a proper profiling of our environment and identify cases. Even when the state government give out logistics to police, it shouldn't be just given to police. There should be a structure, an institution to checkmate the activities and the deployment of these logistics. It's not the number, the previous time where they donate to police and the state government go to sleep. The state government should see they donate 30 helos. They should see the deployment of these helos and where are they stationed and how to maximize their strength at the time of need. They should know the number of gunboats and where they man in the waterways.
We will get to...
If you go through your system, they have about 9 gunboats that was donated to the state government 2 years ago. Where are they?
We'll get to logistics, but I want us to stick with difficulty for now. Maybe after the break, and I've got 2 minutes, so I'm going to quickly throw this question at you. Difficulty, how does this impact the security of River State now that they have come out to openly confess that it is difficult to police River State and that they have huge challenges? How does this impact River State in terms of security?
So now it is difficult. It is obvious. There is a gap between the police and the community and the citizens, stakeholders generally. So that synergy needs to be created, and the state government needs to champion such synergy, to be able to create a room for domestic and community-based intelligence, increasing the killing and the death rates in the land, victims to violence and violent attacks, robbery, kidnaps, and so on, is becoming on the rampage. So they need that synergy, that will be able to create a relationship between the police and the community. And that synergy can only be championed by the government, by the River State people, the citizens, or facilitated by the government. Now, there must be synergy between the government and the police officers. The situation where maybe the governor is doing something and the police is doing a different thing. there is contradiction. So you see that the synergy will be back from that point.
I've got to go for a commercial break now, so just pause your thoughts when we come back.
Save and win.
And for some reason, I think the call has disconnected. We are looking at policing in River State. I'd like to get your thoughts eventually when I do open the line. But, the AIG of, the zone that has River State and Bayelsa State, while talking to police officers, said that it is difficult policing River State. And of course, the Commissioner of Police, also speaking at that event, said that there are challenges. He mentioned the challenges. He talked about logistics. He talked about all the other stuff. My goodness. And so we want to find out how difficult it is, to police River State. And that's what we are talking about. So I'm trying to reestablish connection with my guests. So if you do not mind, just stay tuned, and in a bit, my guest will be back on the phone. All right, he's here. Welcome.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. So we were talking before we went for that commercial, and we're talking about how this will impact security in River State. The statement by the AIG, how it will impact security in River State. So what's your... Yeah, go ahead.
River State is a peculiar... River State and Bayelsa, they are peculiar environment. Beyond their peculiarity, the security in Nigeria, what the people need to do at this point now, because the government is just concentrating on the event of the budget for 2024. If you go through it, it's for procurement of military equipment, deployment of military might, military options, and so on. There is need for non-kinetic approach. The government, the security, everybody need to come up with a more, holistic, kinetic approach that will create a dike beyond the provocation, that will create a security dike and consciousness beyond sectional fraternity, beyond partisan fraternity, beyond political sentiments. And that dike should be a non-kinetic function that will create and close the gap between the people and the security agents.
All right.
It will create a check on excesses of police officers, because the situation where police officers are not from the same police command, who operate in a particular beat under a different command for a long time, shows that there is a gap between the citizen environment and the police. But if there is a relationship, there is a close gap between the people, there is information that regulates and also that can evaluate police activities within the locality. You understand? You will see that the police will perform better.
All right then.
So the gap is also creating for criminal-minded police officers to carry out their criminality. It's creating room for bandits and criminal men to carry out their criminality. So much opportunity for crime and space for crime and criminality. Because of the land mass and the vast land mass, there are a lot of government space, or police space that are not being policed by anybody. That is why you see bandits can kidnap people and keep them at their custody for months in River State.
That's
why you can see they can declare somebody wanted for a month, 3-4 months, and the person is open normally freely in the same state.
Let's look at logistics, like you were trying to talk about earlier. The Commissioner of Police in River State, I said, we have challenges. We don't have enough guns. We don't have enough, he mentioned the tools. We don't have gunboats. We don't have, what's the name of that vehicle? Is it the APC? There's a name for it. Armored Personnel Vehicle, I believe. They mentioned he mentioned a lot of things they don't have. Yet again, is that a problem? Because when these boys come out, we saw Tubaba's video the other day, and we saw the sophisticated weapons he was putting on display. Does this not mean that we are at a disadvantage when it comes to security? Yet again,
there is no amount of guns that they will procure. Look, let me tell you, after 2021 April, the former military administrator of Rivers of Nigeria, military head of state of Syria, Abdul Salami Abubakar,
Yeah.
did a press conference raising an alarm of a statistical result confirming that we have 6.8 million arms in circulation in Nigeria.
Okay.
And about 1 million of it is in the hand of state players in security, that is police, army, and the rest. So how many arms will the state you procure that you think you can match these people? You don't need to look at military options alone. I'm telling you, the non-kinetic approach can be able to demobilize these boys. It's a synergy between the people and the community without any direct confrontation. Deployment of technology, deployment of AI, deployment of ICT equipment. You see that you demobilize these boys in less than 3 months. The entire state will be swept. Look, let me tell you, there is so much proliferation of firearms in the communities. So there's no amount of arms police will procure that will match. You can see only one group, only one gang group. You see they had a number of arms that were displayed in that video you are referencing. And we have several of those kind of groups in River State. And so how many arms and how many of the groups, how many of the core gangs, how many of the armed groups are you attacking? But when you create a non-kinetic approach, it is easier to demobilize them without confrontation, without physical interface. And concentrate on how you can neatly mop up the arms, clean up the environment. Communities are resorting to self-help. IOCs are resorting to self-help because police cannot provide security. That is why you state them giving contract to armed groups to protect their facilities, pipelines, and installations. Communities are giving contracts to armed groups to provide them security as vigilantes. Different peoples, estates, and so on are engaged in armed groups to protect them.
All right.
So until you have a proper review of this, menace in the system, and come up with a more strategic and decisive measures that is proactive enough to mop up the existing arms, identify the armories, and clean up the arms, demobilize the boys, and not to do competition with them. That will create a lot of casualties, victims of violence on both parties, including civilians and innocent people within the environment.
Expertise. All right, then. Do have yourself a wonderful day. Yes, we'll commercial break up next, and when we come back, you and I will continue our talk, and we'll talk for development. So please stay tuned to 92.3 Nigeria Info.